Shoot, sorry, I meant to have a pretty picture up instead of my face and a bunch of words. So let's see, I've done a few of these in the last 2 days. Okay, this is Origeron carvinskianus. Really? That is its name. Who was carvinskianus anyway? Or maybe it was Karvinsky and it looked like his something. Anyway, glad nobody watches these because that was totally stupid. It's really, really lovely, this Origeron, also called fleabane. So bane means like making things not want to be around. So apparently, I don't know. Would be worth looking into if you had a flea issue at your home. Look at that. It's super pretty. Also called Santa Barbara daisy or Mexican daisy. Anyway, I doubt Karvinsky or his were Mexican, but or I don't know. It's from Mexico. Here we go. Yerba Del Restriado. Okay. Zones 8, 9, 12, and 24, which is the only one I really care about because that's where we are now, but you might care about other ones. Drought tolerant, cool. Full sun or light shade. So this is like the kind of thing you probably want to have like in your median garden if your median is like mine and gets bacon in the sun all day. In fact, I was just thinking about that. Like it would be nice to have it out there covering the dirt until other things fill in a little bit. 10 to 20 inches high, so it's pretty short, and expands to 3 feet wide, which is cool. And it's just like this, you know, covering the ground. Small little flowers, which are very, very good for not just bees, but and butterflies, other pollinators, because these tiny little flowers are, you know, some of the pollinators and beneficial insects are really small, and they have really small mouth parts. So very, very small flowers make a big difference for them. They can get in there and I don't know, eat some nectar, I guess. Eat some pollen, drink some nectar, whatever they're doing. They like those little flowers. So makes a good ground cover in garden beds, or it works well in containers, also to cover the surface, which is a good thing, which we all should be doing in Southern California so the sun isn't hitting the bare ground and baking it. Also in hanging baskets or dry walls. That was kind of an odd one. I think like growing over walls is my guess. I should have put quotes on that too, because this is all from Sunset, all of it. See, I put quotes up there. Yeah, on the stuff that I took from Sunset, verbatim. Leaves about 1 inch long, on often the tips of the leaves are toothed. Right there, you see that? There we go. It's a cool little indentation there. Rarely out of bloom. Very, very short little thing, but lovely. Now we're moving right along. Oh yeah, it's in the Asteraceae and the Asterales. The next one is Arieogatum. It's kind of hard for my brain to go from Origeron to Arieogatum. Like I want to fuse the two somehow, but California buckwheat is a very different plant than Mexican daisy. It's a lovely thing. Let's take a look at it. And it looks really pretty like a lot of the time. So, you know, here, this is like in the fall, it starts looking like this. To me, this is like the Christmassy colors of Southern California. That rich kind of rust red, and then a more like sagey green. Anyway, and so the flowers age to rust. And I think I have had some flour made from these buckwheat flour like bread flour made from the buckwheat flowers, but I don't remember that it tasted very good. It's like those, I don't know if I mentioned the amazing elderly women who were Seventh-day Adventists. They're in Loma Linda, which has a lot of Seventh-day Adventists, and they're really into eating wild foods and health and stuff, which is great. But I used to go drive over there when I was in Fullerton and take classes like once a week, and it was wonderful and charming and sweet. But the ladies were like, "Oh, that would be like 2 changes of water." Like you could eat just about anything, right? I think I told that joke before. Anyway, I think you could. You could put buckwheat in your baking flour and probably poop a lot of buckwheat parts out. So here we go, back to the subject. Look at those pretty flowers. I mean, they're showstoppers. And they usually cover the plant a little bit more like this, but you don't really see the individual flowers. You just see this lots of greenery, and then kind of it almost looks like rosemary or something. Small little leaves, fasciculatum, fasciculus. They're like fascicles around the stem. They're small little leaves that just kind of hug the stem, and then it makes these inflorescences that are quite lovely. They would have been all sticking out, and they would have looked like that a little earlier in the season. So it is in the Polygonaceae, and that has something to do with the fact that it's a 3-carpelled thing, It is a dicot, a eudicot, but it's like flower parts in threes, which would be really hard to tell. The flower parts are small. But the things in the Polygonaceae have their flower parts in threes, which is not what you'd expect from the eudicots. You'd expect that from the monocots. And it's in the Caryophyllales. If you remember that, that's like the pink carnation family and the elderberry and all the, a whole bunch of other families are in that order. So narrow leaves, very small, maybe dark green above. For some of the species, they get quite hairy and woolly looking. Fasciculatum isn't so. It's more like just a gray-green. White or pink flowers in the heads, the flower heads. Our zone, my zone, I should say, zone 7 to 9, 2 to 4. I am so sorry. This is a California native, and it is definitely drought tolerant, and it likes full sun for sure. But it also needs good drainage. I didn't even have to look to see that because I just knew, because it's a California native, right? And because it grows all over in the mountaintops, mountainsides, foothills, and dry mountain slopes all around here. It's good for erosion control. That's cool. Okay, now moving right along. It's pretty, I love it. And there's also different varieties too. There's one that's like bright red flowered, and there's another one that's all of the foliage is like a super, super light green. Really neat. I'm going to put one of those in my medium. Now here's a plant. I am so not familiar with this plant, and I don't even know how you say it. So I know it's also called blanket flower. You can just call it blanket flower, or we could call it Gaelardia. Sure, that sounds right. Gaelardia. Gaelardia grandiflora. So different hybrids. I think all the Gaelardias, in fact, the grandifloras are hybrids between two species, the Aristata and the Pulchella species mixed make all the grandiflora hybrids. So these get to be at 2 to 4 feet wide and just a little bit smaller, 2 to 4 feet high, and then 1.5 foot wide. It is native to the U.S., but not to here, central and western U.S., but I've not seen these in there, so I don't think they're a California native. May reseed if you grow it, also very attractive to butterflies. Wide range of tolerance, also in Hawaii. I think that's Hawaii. Moderate water, so that could be the issue, I think. It says it likes full sun and thrives in heat, but moderate water and heat, like we don't have that combination at the same time, so I don't know, maybe that's why it doesn't grow here. Perennial color for a flower bed, good for a hot, sunny spot. So here, now you may, I don't know if you were looking at this going, oh, but how am I going to tell this from like Cosmos? Or, I mean, you could even say Echinacea, although that I don't think that's on our list. It does actually have like a little central cone like Echinacea, which is coneflower. But also because of that little central cone, it doesn't really look like Echinacea at all, really. The flowers are the colors, the way it's just different. But certainly, if you look at that little central cone, it's not a cosmos, so like that, right? What was the other one we just looked at? I just did this like earlier today. It was another Asteraceae. The Asteraceae, there's like a saying among botanists, it's an ABYC, another damn yellow composite, because it used to be called the compositae. So it's like, oh God, not another one of those. Anyway, so there it is, another damn yellow composite. So a lot of times they have yellow flowers, but it's got a little bump in the middle, right? Not a big funky cone, but a little bump. And then Asteraceae flowers, you know, that inflorescence, typical kind of inflorescence. So there you see it in a landscape use. So just mounding kind of red flowers here. There we go. More that are bicolored with kind of funky petals, and then kind of funky petals, but a little less bright. So yes, indeed, Gaelardia grandiflora hybrids in the Asteraceae and the Asterales. Gray-greenish, not super bright green, single or double flowers 3 to 4 inches across. Flower colors in reds and yellows with orange or maroon kind of banding on it. And I put that part in that it has an almost cone-like center. Should put that in quotes because I took that straight out of Sunset. I think we covered all this stuff. We did. Okay, cool. There we go, guys. Hopefully that